I'm sorry. Come again?
20-something-year-old Doge bags.
Did you call them Doge bags? Hold on a second. I need to write down some t-shirt ideas. Hey, shout out to all of the subscribers and members here on the channel. I am Reese Waters, and this is Street Politics. Somehow, MAGA hasn't gotten the message, and they keep coming for Jasmine Crockett. Where you going, Byron?
And if we continue to put people into office, and that even means some of our skinfolk who definitely are not our kinfolk, such as Byron Donalds, who are going to continue to say that, the fact that you sitting around talking about life was better under Jim Crow, is this because you don't understand history? Or literally it's because you married a white woman and so you think that whitewashed you? I'm not really sure, what it is.
Well,
but
you
I
couldn't
need
even be married to a white woman under Jim
Correct.
Crow.
Correct. And it took Joy to call him out. So I'm like, bruh, what are you talking about? What are you saying? He just out here, I feel like they give him his talking points and he's like, yes, massa, I got it.
No, Byron, this isn't even about you. But it could be. No, this is about Scam Bondi. Sorry. Pam Bondi. Sorry, Pam. That other one came from Laura Loomer. I ain't seen anybody take incoming from all sides like this since Matt Gaetz.
You got to think about this guy. This is a guy that the media didn't give a time of day to after he was accused of sleeping with a girl. And there's a reason why no one in the conference came and defended him, because we had all seen the videos he was showing on the House floor that all of us had walked away of the girls that he had slept with. He'd brag about how he would crush ED medicine and chase it with an energy drink so he could go all night. This is obviously before you got married.
And you did replace him, didn't you? Huh. Maybe that's the abuse that you're taking. Well, it's not as if it's not deserved. We remember your first statement about Jasmine Crockett.
Okay, so if you talk about taking somebody out or taking them down or knocking somebody over the head and knocking them over the head hard, are those threats of violence?
Yeah, Sean, it is. And after she said that about Elon, she said, well, I didn't mean violence. But, however, your words have consequences. And what happened after she said that about Elon Musk, she's a Texan in her own home state. After she said that, this morning, 3 explosive devices were found in Austin, Texas. So she needs to unequivocally denounce the violence. She must apologize immediately, not only to all Texans, but to our country, to the American shareholders of Tesla, because she is promoting violence. And then you showed the clip of what she said about Senator Cruz. I believe she probably will be censured by Congress for saying that.
Now, this was absurd on a number of levels. There is the political rhetoric of the right. There is her exercising her free speech. And the fact that you are clearly picking and choosing who you decide to come for. You realize they've been looking for you with this whole Signalgate situation. And before that, they was looking for you with the Epstein situation. People been looking for you, and you decide to pop up just to comment on the Tesla takedown. You ain't slick. But as has consistently been the case, whenever they come for Jasmine Crockett, she has the answer.
Let me tell you, one of the things that the chairman and I actually agree upon, we don't agree on a lot, is that we both know that there has been a sharp incline as it relates to threats upon our lives. Regardless of what side of the aisle you sit on, we both know and agree that as sitting members of Congress, we both are enduring more death threats than anybody should in this country. And I believe that it is because of the divisive rhetoric and it is because of the selective enforcement of things. And so when we have, and I'm gonna be clear, because I had remarks and I'm going a whole other way. To have the sitting Attorney General go on, and I'm gonna call it faux news. I know some of y'all love it, but it's fake to me.
Hey, Jasmine, you can kill the to me. Nah, it's fake.
To have her go on Fox News and to then decide that she wanted to send a threat to me, it was wrong. Because here it is, she is the highest law enforcement agent in this country, and people are watching and they are consuming this information and they are believing that simply because I decided that I wanted to exercise my right to free speech, which I am not abridged from doing, that she then wanted to then politicize something that should not be politicized. I don't like Elon Musk. I'm gonna say it 50,000 times. I don't like him. I don't like that he going out there and he firing people. I think that he's a crook because somehow the rest of us can't sit around and get whatever federal contracts we want. The rest of us can't sit around and get law enforcement and get them somehow ordained as federal law enforcement to protect him. The rest of us can't get our dealerships protected by the federal government. That is somebody that is operating above the law.
Is anybody opposed? Huh? Anybody? Does anybody like Elon Musk? Hey, not even his mama.
For whatever reason, just because he has a lot of money, more money than everybody else, and yes, I am happy to see that on my birthday, which is what I said, there were peaceful protests around this world against him because he is a problem. And so you never should have somebody that is sitting that high and is going to sit up here and threaten a sitting member of Congress when she knew good and well, if she watched the entire thing, that I specifically told protesters to make sure you consult with lawyers, just like I've told protesters over and over and over in the history of me advising people to go out and exercise their constitutional right. The fact that there are other sitting members that have received letters of threat from this new DOJ tells me that they are about retribution and they are not about following the law. The reason that our party, or I won't even say our party, our country is torn apart is because we can't even agree on right versus wrong. This should not be left versus right. The only thing that we're asking is that we have law enforcement that will show up when there is an actual crime. If somebody calls and says, hey, I need you to investigate this cyber crime, or I need you to investigate this child pornography, or I need you to investigate this robbery, then we want somebody to show up, and we don't want them to look at us and act as if just because I'm black or because I'm woman that I am not worthy of having that case investigated, because we have an administration that is continuously railing against diversity, equity, and inclusion, or we don't need people that show up that feel like diversity should not be valued. That is why we should have somebody that may show up and looks like me. The final thing that I'll say, because you've been gracious, is this. When I first became a public defender, I had no criminal defense experience. And I walked in and I told my boss, Charlie, I said, listen, you should hire me. He said, why? I said, because I'm black. Charlie looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, let me tell you something. When I walk in, I'm going to walk in with a level of rapport and understanding that maybe some of my other colleagues will not. Charlie offered me my job, and I worked my butt off, and I worked really, really hard for all of my clients, not just those that look like me, and that is what it looks like to serve.
Oh, that's gonna make her mad. Oh, that's gonna make her mad, Jasmine. She always knows how to press that button. Okay, let me guess what gets aggregated on the right wing. Hire me because I'm black. Hire me because I'm a DEI. Admits to being a DEI. You guys are so predictable. You're every bit as predictable, because I remember that time when we said Black Lives Matter because we felt like Black lives didn't matter, and that was something that we needed to say, and then you objected to that by having to say white lives matter or all lives matter, as if that wasn't assumed by the fact that we needed to say Black Lives Matter. And that's the exact same situation that we have here, because y'all want to run with hire me because I'm black and ignore all of the qualifications that she carried into that conversation. You ignoring all the education that she carried into that conversation, you're ignoring how difficult it was for people to get those positions by her saying, hire me because I'm black. And by the way, there wouldn't have been a need for somebody to hire her because she's black and to say because I'll relate to people in a different way if there was a glut of people that were black in those positions. See, that is the context of what she said if you actually wanted to have a legitimate conversation. But we know that you don't. You just want to take things and run with them because Lord knows that would not survive the light of day. It's kind of like earlier when she talked about how we can't even agree on right and wrong, and that's because that's how y'all act. That's how y'all act. Cause I knew y'all was gonna take that and run. I already knew. Y'all, you know what I mean? You are every bit as predictable as my toddlers. That is how predictable y'all are. And no, we cannot agree on right and wrong because of the level of politicization that we have in our criminal justice system, as evidenced by Pam Bondi picking and choosing what she wants to acknowledge or when she wants to poke her head above ground and try and comfort somebody in the friendly confines of Fox News. And by the way, Pam Bondi and MAGA, if y'all thought she was done.
Now, I know remembering things is hard for some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle. Like remembering not to add reporters into a signal chat discussing military war plans.
Pete Hegseth, Mike Waltz, she talking about y'all. Just pay attention. And get your wife out of here.
But let me remind my colleagues that it was Trump who decided to store national secrets and classified documents next to his oversized bathtub and toilet at Mar-a-Lago. It was Trump who took the documents out of the boxes and shared them with his guests. It was Trump who told his staff to move the boxes when the FBI was coming. And it was Trump who appointed Director Christopher Wray as head of the FBI.
I'm sorry, Jasmine Crockett. Did you just say his bathtub was oversized? You said it was oversized, so he couldn't use a regular size, specially ordered. That looks like a golf champion to me.
The same director that allowed the investigation to move forward. As much as Trump and Republicans hate to accept it, we are still a country with laws. And when you break them, there are consequences. Now, make no mistake, we should all be concerned about the FBI. But my concerns as ranking member of this subcommittee, as a member of Congress, and as an attorney, as well as a citizen, are based on things called facts. And when I say facts, I mean clear, indisputable facts, not those alternative facts my Republican colleagues continue pushing onto the American people. So let's talk about facts. Fact. Even prior to being confirmed by the Senate, Kash Patel was directing officials within the FBI to fire members within the Bureau simply because they worked on the lawful investigations into Trump. Fact. Patel failed to disclose his previous work and financial ties with the country of Qatar, a country that, had you had read the Mazars report, released last year by the House Oversight Committee, you would know paid close to $500,000 to Trump while he was president of the United States. Unsurprisingly, the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force was recently disbanded, and the DOJ also cut back on its Foreign Agents Registration Act enforcement. Our enemies are jumping up and down now that we're doing their work for them. Another fact, Patel has never even been an FBI agent and is now leading the Bureau. Even one of today's Republican witnesses organizations, the Bureau, has advocated having an FBI agent lead the Bureau. But rather than confirm a director with credible, dedicated experience, the Republicans confirmed a political loyalist with no Quantico or FBI training. Talk about DEI. Didn't earn it higher. Another fact, Patel, who rails against telework, what he calls lazy agents, was working part-time in and out of Las Vegas, commuting back and forth between there and DC, while also living in the home of a GOP mega donor. Think about that for a second. Could you imagine what Republicans would have done had, say, James Comey had been living in New York part-time as the FBI director, and if his New York home was owned by, say, George Soros?
Did somebody say George Soros? Oh, that's I got scared. I thought it was town hall out of control. Woo, boy. I thought the MAGAs was screaming on a GOP congressman. Somebody yelled Soros. I get a reaction out of me.
Speaker Johnson would have forced a floor vote on articles of impeachment within days of this news coming out. But nevertheless, my Republican colleagues are willing to sacrifice safety for stupidity as long as it's loyal. Another fact, Patel and Trump-backed FBI leadership have redirected FBI agents who are working on investigations involving violent crimes against children and child exploitation and transferred them to work on anti-Tesla attacks and redacting Jeffrey Epstein files. Talk about FBI waste and abuse. You simply can't make this stuff up. To be clear, Director Wray testified before Congress last year, noting that, quote, if each one of the FBI's cyber agents and intelligence analysts focus exclusively on the China threat, China's hackers would still outnumber FBI cyber personnel by at least 50-1. Yet rather than hire more agents to protect against these cybersecurity threats, Director Patel is reassigning agents to redact Epstein files. Someone please tell me how this makes America safe.
Well, I guess that would depend on who you need to protect by redacting those Epstein files. I guess it depends on how big of a priority those individuals might happen to be.
It's almost as ridiculous and wasteful as Patel's idea to contract the Bureau with UFC fighters.
UFC fighters contracted with the Bureau. Y'all know they get knocked out all the time, right? Okay. I don't know if I want my security in the hands of John Jones. I know it's not about can he fight or not. This is about when he's available.
And while I have very real concerns about the current state of the FBI today, I want to be very clear. My concerns aren't with career agents, the men and women dedicating their lives to protect our country and communities. It's with the irresponsible leadership and reckless decisions coming from Patel, Trump, and Doge staff within the FBI. Our Bureau needs resources to do its job effectively. What it doesn't need is 20-something-year-old Doge bags reviewing materials without having undergone proper vetting and clearance.
I'm sorry. Come again?
20-something-year-old Doge bags.
Did you call them Doge bags? Hold on a second. I need to write down some T-shirt ideas.
The American people have a right to be worried, but these worries shouldn't be based on Republican baseless conspiracy theories. Our country is already on a dangerous path, pushing closer to causing irreparable harm. Republican members need to wake up and put Trump loyalties aside to engage in real oversight of the current FBI before it's too late. Congress deserves it. The brave men and women at the Bureau deserve it, and the American people deserve it. I want to add one more point. As a civil rights attorney, I have had to sue law enforcement. There have been times that I can truly say that law enforcement has crossed the line. And I truly believe that there can be one or two in a bunch that can ruin everyone. The problem that I have right now, though, is that we have decided to focus in on something that my Republican colleagues have decided to term as being political. What is political is when somebody says that they are going to come back and seek retribution. What is political is firing people because they simply were following the evidence and doing their jobs as law enforcement has been trained to do. And ultimately, regardless of whether or not anyone believes that it was right to indict the president, not once, not twice, not three, but 4 times he was indicted, ultimately, each of you knows enough to know that at the end of the day, it is citizens that sit on a grand jury that are the ones that decide whether or not evidence exists to go forward with an indictment. And ultimately, when this president was convicted by a jury on the state level, it was a jury of his peers.
Now, there was something that was buried in there that I would like to circle back around to at a later date. But when she talks about one bad law enforcement officer and how that can spoil all those around them because of the levels of protection that they are afforded. That's something that we see quite often and something we've discussed quite often and something we'll want to circle back around to. But when it comes to our national security, when it comes to the sanctity of our federal government and the chain of command at all, Jasmine Crockett makes some very prescient points that I would think would be of great interest to a network that likes to find any moment possible to scare their audience. I would think they would like to pick up a lot of what she put down and run with it if in fact we can agree on anything in this country, right?
She's number one at being dumb, the new face of the DNC. Gather round, cause that's our Jasmine.
Now that was equal parts predictable and sad and well put together. I actually don't mind the song. I'll be honest. I don't mind the song. Put that in the reusables. Yeah, along with the Laura Trump. Yeah. Let's see what they got to say.
Some of our skinfolk who definitely are not our kinfolk, such as Byron Donalds, who are going to continue to say that, the fact that you sitting around talking about life was better under Jim Crow, is this because you don't understand history? Or literally it's because you married a white woman and so you think that they're whitewashed you?
That's not very woke, is it? Of course, Crocket isn't the only Democrat who's opposed to interracial marriage, or else more Democrats would have voted for this one. Racist. Tyrus, I go to you for no apparent reason. Do you have an opinion on this? Or should I move on to somebody?
It has to come from me.
Yes.
Okay. None of y'all are qualified. Not just for one thing, I'm mad at Charmaine the guy because he should have kicked her out. See, the problem is that we are allowing our own culture to be openly racist and get away with it.
Is he? Can I get a judgment call? Okay. All right, let's just move to the next clip while we wait.
I want to hit you on one more topic here. Jasmine Crockett's been making a lot of news. She's a Democrat, represents southeastern part of Dallas, Texas, your home state.
Wait a minute. Is that Jigga Boots? Oh, Jigga Boots. Okay, all right. Let's see what he got to say.
She revealed this when she found a job in the legal world. This is how she described it in her own words. I'll go ahead and play it and get your reaction.
When I first became a public defender, I had no criminal defense experience. And I walked in and I told my boss, Charlie, I said, listen, you should hire me. He said, why? I said, because I'm black. Charlie looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, let me tell you something. When I walk in, I'm gonna walk in with a level of rapport and understanding that maybe some of my other colleagues will not. Charlie offered me my job and I worked my butt off and I worked really, really hard for all of my clients, not just those that look like me. And that is what it looks like to serve.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Hey, pay me my money.
Maybe in the end she was qualified for that job. What do you think of that story and the way she recalls it?
Well, you can't have it both ways, and Jasmine and I just don't see the world the same way. I don't want to walk in a room and get a job because I'm black.
You want to walk into a room and get a job because of those boots. I know. Yeah, you want to get you want to walk into. Yeah, I can understand that, and I get why you don't see the world the same way as Jasmine Crockett, because no way in the world that she would let you leave the house like that.
I want to walk in a room and get a job because I'm qualified, because I am educated, because I have hard work, grit, determination, because I believe in this country. That's why I am a United States congressman in a white majority district that President Trump would have won by 20 points, and I just won by 27 points. And the reason is because of this. I am literally living Dr. Martin Luther King's dream. I'm being judged not by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character. The people in my district don't see color. They see somebody that's going to represent this district to the best of their ability, regardless of what they look like. I never want to be demeaned for what I have done and the sacrifices that I have made for this country just because of the way I look. I want to be hired because of my acumen and my ability, and I'll end with this. I see myself as an American. I'm a proud husband. I am a father. I am a veteran. I'm an educated man. I am a follower of Christ, and I'm also a black man. I am very proud of it. But I am all those things before that because the number one thing for me is being an American, and I love all my fellow Americans regardless of race, religion, color, or creed, and we all should be treated fairly. Nobody wants a job based on the way they look. They want a job based on their abilities.
And by the way, you are a token.
Now, we will agree on one thing. You are definitely all of those other things before that. As far as the whole I'm proud, we'll have to agree to disagree on that. But here's the thing. You would happen to be the same guy who was staying at Robert E. Lee Barracks and wanted to stay there. You were proud of the fact that it said Robert E. Lee because you admitted you had a tough time with it and you wanted future generations to have a tough time with it as well. That was definitely you. Now here's a question, because you talked about how you want to get a job because of your qualifications, and it was clear by virtue of not only what she brought into that conversation, but what she took out and what she did with that job, that she had the qualifications. It was clear that she had the qualifications. What's also clear is there weren't a lot of her that were in those positions because her saying, hire me because I'm black, made sense. If it was all black, it wouldn't have made sense now with it. She talked about having a different rapport. She set up a scenario where she has the qualifications and there is a dearth of black bodies that could have that rapport in that position. So she had the qualifications. So I'm trying to figure out what your objection might be, if not just for the fact that she said that hire me because I'm black. So that is a problem. Don't hire me because I'm black. What I'm looking for, where is the person who says don't hire me because I'm white? When did they start having that conversation? When it was don't hire me because I'm white. Don't hire me. I don't want to be hired for a job because my dad is the CEO. Or I don't want to be hired for a job because my cousin used to work with the manager. Or I don't want to be hired for a job because my father-in-law is the president.
Without your bravery, we're all out of luck. No, this can't be denied. You gotta be special.
When do those conversations start happening? I don't want to be hired for a job because my uncle donated $5 million. I don't want to be hired for a job because we went to the same college. When are those, you know what I mean? Because all I have heard from the black MAGAs is I don't want to be hired for a job because I'm black. But they don't never say none of the other stuff, and neither does anybody else. It's just us. They just find us to sit up there and talk about how I don't want to be hired for a job because I'm black. But apparently, everybody else is happy to be hired for a job because of any other reason. That's so black MAGA. And by the way, Jasmine, if this is the way you're going to trigger them to come foaming at the mouth in order to disavow their own blackness, you own one, girl. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for supporting the channel. It is a new season, and with the new season comes new things, and I'm very excited to announce I'll be bringing guests on to my 8 p.m. live starting this very week.
No, never thought leopards would eat my face. Slow it down now.
You guys have sent me in a lot of suggestions for people you would love for me to have a conversation with, people in this particular space, people in the politics space, comedians, commentators, anybody who you would love to see exchange ideas right here on this platform. Go ahead and send in your suggestions. That also applies to my Way of Waters channel as well. I'll be bringing guests over there. So if there's people in the mindfulness space or in the consciousness space you would love to see me talk to, go ahead and send in your suggestions. And don't worry, we'll still have our private chats. Of course, I'm going to open up my lives with a rant like I always do. I'm definitely not a political channel, but I think I'm adjacent. You know what I mean? I think I'm adjacent. I would say, I'm around the corner. I'm not too far. I'm around the corner. Unless I don't know if they got some redlining going. Maybe they got some redlining going on in politics streets, and now I'm on the other side. And we'll also have the members' lives as well, just when we need to talk offline. So those will be regular. And if you would like to join the channel, there's a link to membership in the description box of all the videos. I want to give a shout out to Obajuru, who's a supporter of the channel, who sent me this as a gift, and I absolutely love it. We're definitely going to find a use for that. And Kit and the Misfit Toys, who sent me this for my Way of Waters channel. You guys are truly, truly the best. And I just hope that I can rise to a level that is deserving of this level of support. Thank you.